Isn't it also crazy that, like, the Democrats finally have candidates that are liked by the voters, and the Democrats are like, no, not like that, though. Yeah, no, not like that. No. No. All right, enough of this. Let's watch this clip.
33.
Fucking crushing it.
Right on what it's been. 86%. Again,
Mamdani us.
much smaller area to begin with, and SBI's running out of opportunities. 86% of the vote right there. Still a quarter of the vote to come, and Chevalier just got a massive, relatively speaking, a massive update in her favor. She just won that last update essentially by 20 points over SBI, meaning district-wide.
Stop. That's pretty good. All right, that's pretty good. Mamdani does. Why would Mamdani do this to us? Mamdani's making the Democratic Party appealing to people. It's not okay. Not okay. All right, man. Okay, man. Okay, man. Whatever you say, bro. I thought you said you would vote for Epstein if he was a Democrat, man. Then just, why do you have a problem with Mamdani? I don't even understand. Can we make that a sub-alert? Dude, that actually would go crazy as a sub-alert. Mamdani fucked us. Someone wants to make that clip. That would be so good. I'll probably do it later. All right. I'm pretty sure Hutch made a bet and lost money. Yeah. Dude has a gambling problem so bad his wife interrupted his stream once to stop him from making more bets. No, you're joking, man. You're joking. Stop. No, stop. Stop.
Unique race, and it's not representative of a national
Wait, DNC consultants when a DSA candidate wins a hotly contested congressional primary.
movement within the Democratic Party.
Whoa!
Democrats could learn a thing or two.
DNC consultants when a centrist Democrat candidate under the age of 70 exists. And then there's an asterisk, a Republican.
Paid attention to Lizard Cheney Man out of Eastern bumfuck nowhere land.
That's our guy. That's our guy.
You're looking at the next 40 years of Democratic politics.
We need more candidates who are called Democrats, but act Republican. When I talk to the average Joe in Middletown, USA, they don't want free health care. They want to work.
Why are you asking? Why won't Hassan join the DSA officially, Denims? I don't know. Ask him that. Why would I know that?
They want to send their money to Israel. They want to have effectively nothing good. It's abundance. That's what one of the very purple city council seats in Fargo. This guy knows how to talk to voters in a robotic way, but it's cool. We need more candidates like this who are willing to stand up to Trump, but in a vague way, where they don't really commit to anything.
Oh my God, stop. Uh-oh. Wait, sorry, I just saw this. Kind of breaking.
Former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton has pleaded guilty to mishandling classified information. Prosecutors accuse Bolton of using a personal email account and messaging app to send unauthorized family members documents that contained information classified at levels ranging from secret to top secret. Now he's pleading guilty to one count of retaining sensitive documents. Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas and ABC News legal contributor James Sample are here for more. Pierre, you were in the room for this hearing. What's the latest from court?
Well, it was a somber and very serious moment for the former National Security Advisor, in which he had to admit and did admit that he illegally retained classified information of a national defense nature. The information that he retained was hacked by a cyber actor that the government believes is tied to Iran. And today, the U.S. Attorney talked about the gravity of the situation.
As National Security Advisor to the President of the United States, Mr. Bolton had access to and was responsible for safeguarding the most sensitive national defense information, including classified material. Mr. Bolton knew how to handle classified information, where it should be stored, how it should be stored, and with whom he could share that information. He also knew the damage to national security that could be caused by mishandling that sensitive information.
There was a dramatic moment toward the end of the hearing in which the former National Security Advisor was asked if he had acknowledged and admitted to committing this crime. He said so and said, quote, "I'm sorry for it." Also, when asked how he was going to plead in connection with the single count,
Guys, he's sorry. God, he literally said he's sorry, man. What more do you guys want? Unbelievable. You guys are so ungrateful, man.
simply said guilty.
And James, prosecutors say Bolton has agreed to pay a $2 million fine, do community service, and forfeit his federal retirement pay. What do you make of that deal?
I think that if that is the deal that is ultimately upheld, and it ultimately has to be signed off by the judge in this case, the prosecutor and the defendant have the opportunity to engage in a plea deal, but the ultimate sentencing discretion is still with the judge. But if that, assuming that that is the agreed upon terms, and that the judge does confirm those terms when it comes time for sentencing, I think that this is as much of a win as obviously an unfortunate and troubling circumstance can be for somebody in this position, considering what he was facing, Diane. If he had gone to trial and rolled the dice and lost on these charges, he would have been facing the equivalent at his age of 77 of the rest of his life in prison.
Pierre, now the question is whether he will face prison time, jail time. What are you watching for there?
Well, he's negotiating with the government, and right now the two parties have agreed, again, subject to what the judge ultimately decides, because the judge will make the final decision on how long Mr. Bolton will serve, if any time. He faces
Isn't that good? Isn't that nice to see in the news? You know what I like to see when I wake up in the morning? I like to see the newsman say, if he serves time. You can be caught guilty on all charges in the United States. And they'll be like, oh, you know the president? Well, you're free to go. You're free to go.
So in the agreement, a maximum of roughly 60 months in jail or 5 years. So he's looking at months potentially in jail. Obviously, the defense side for him is hoping that he will get a similar situation that former CIA Director Petraeus and some of the others who did not get jail time. That's what they're hoping for. But to be clear, as of right now, he faces months, if not years, in prison, depending on what the judge decides to do.
James, what does the judge need to consider when it comes to the sentencing?
Yeah, they'll enter a phase now known as the PSR, the pre-sentencing report phase, in which the guidelines that Pierre just correctly mentioned that extend up to 60 months in this instance will be considered alongside a number of other factors, such as the lifetime and the fact that this is a first offense, his record of service both to the nation and the government, and the fact of his age, and the fact that he and his team are the individuals who initially acknowledged and admitted and brought the matter to the government's attention in the first instance. Those are all factors that will weigh in favor of a lower end of that spectrum on the sentence, but it is potentially anywhere from 0 to 60 months.
Pierre Thomas, James Sample, thank you.
No, guys, what you don't understand, all right, is that he's just a young boy, all right? Can I say something crazy? I felt like I was going insane when people were unironically saying Bill Cosby shouldn't go to jail because he's an old man. Am I insane for thinking that? So if you're young, he has his whole life ahead of him. We can't put him in jail. And if you're old, you just say, well, he's an old man. He's going to die any day now. Shouldn't he live his days free? It's like, what? He's going to die in there. Okay. Well, as an idea, just as a quick little idea, man, we could just introduce prison reform. We could introduce prison reform so that the prisons were safe. And if he dies of old age in prison, I don't know, maybe don't date rape a bunch of women or people. I don't know. That's crazy. That's crazy. By the way, these are also the same people that say they're pro the death penalty, but anti-abortion. Meanwhile, they won't bat an eye when a young person gets a life sentence for drugs. I mean, literally. But when it comes to the urban youth, it's like, in these states, they just let them, you can do anything and they'll just let you out. They'll just let you out. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Dude, we have like a local chud. Spiritually chud. Let's let people steal with impunity. That will end well. Free range chud. Oh, God, dude.
It was a huge primary night in New York last night, but perhaps no race made a bigger splash than New York's 13th congressional district. It's an area that covers Upper Manhattan and parts of the Bronx, where an outsider mounted a challenge against an established member of New York's Democratic establishment and won. For the past decade, New York 13 has been represented by Adriano Espaillat, a man who's heralded as a trailblazer within his community. Before running for office, he broke ground when he challenged black political influence in Harlem and the South Bronx. In 2012 and 2014, he challenged the Democratic incumbent in his district, Charles Rangel, who had been in Congress since 1971. Espaillat lost both times, but finally won in 2016, beating out Rangel's chosen successor after Rangel retired. Espaillat's win was historic. He was the first Dominican-American and the first formerly undocumented immigrant elected to Congress. He was reelected 4 times, currently serving as the chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, and he's considered the dean of New York Latino politics. But more recently, Espaillat has been criticized for his support for continued U.S. aid to Israel amid its war in Gaza.
Can I say, it's crazy to me that Democrats hate their base so much that they'll just like, they don't care about offending any voter's intelligence. Like they'll be like, excuse me, that man is Hispanic, okay? So I need you to look past him being pro-genocide. Bitch, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
And for the support that he's received from AIPAC and affiliated groups. Last night, Espaillat and fellow New York Congressman Dan Goldman became only the 3rd and 4th Democratic incumbents to lose in the primary this year. Now, the 2 others were Texas Democrats who were gerrymandered out of their districts. The candidate who unseated Espaillat is Darializa Avila Chevalier. She's a 32-year-old Democratic socialist who was recruited to run by Justice Democrats, a group committed to finding progressive challengers to unseat Democrats. Avila,
let's fucking go! Let's go!
Chevalier was one of only 3 congressional candidates endorsed by New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani in this year's elections. And she was his biggest gamble. She didn't have the name recognition or profile of either of the mayor's other hand-picked candidates, the former city comptroller Brad Lander and the New York State Assembly member Claire Valdez. On top of that, Avila Chevalier's internet history threatened to bring down her campaign at various points. Old social media posts from a since-deleted account.
Don't say that the guy looks like Boss Baby. Stop. Dude, can I say, what is his foundation? Because he is smooth. Bro is poreless. I have more pores than this guy. What is he using? Even his fucking, like, his bald-ass head is, like, so smooth. You can't even see where the follicles used to be.
Came back to light, including ones in which she advocated for abolishing the police. Some posts sharply criticized Democratic leaders. She once called Joe Biden, quote, a war criminal. And in a 2021 post, she wrote, quote, F Kamala Harris.
Please. You don't have to make me like her more. I already like her. Please. Okay? You really don't have to make her sound any cooler. She's already really cool. Okay?
During a debate last week, she apologized to Harris after Espaillat pushed her to do so, and she said that she ultimately voted for Harris in 2024. Journalists also uncovered that she attended a controversial rally in Times Square on October 8, 2023, one day after Hamas attacked Israel. The rally was described as a gathering to show solidarity with the Palestinian people. Others criticized it for condoning the violence that Hamas had just committed, pointing to chants like, quote, resistance is justified when people are occupied. New York's Governor Kathy Hochul called it, quote, morally repugnant. Zoran Mamdani, who was then an assembly member, stayed away. Brad Lander, who is Jewish, condemned the rally and canceled his membership with the Democratic Socialists of America.
Isn't that so sad for him? Isn't that so sad for him? Your new hair looks amazing. Oh, thanks. They really are trying so hard to make me hate her. And all it does is make me love her more. She went to a disgusting rally that was pro-Palestine. That's fucked up, man. That's so fucked up.
After the group posted about it. Avila Chevalier has defended her decision to attend that rally. New York's 13th district is solidly Democratic. So barring any other political shockwaves between now and November, she will be heading to Congress. Darializa Avila Chevalier has shown that she can win. Her victory in particular is emblematic of changing tides in the Democratic Party. So now the question is, what will the next chapter of her story and the Democrat story look like? Joining me now is Darializa Avila Chevalier, Democratic nominee for Congress in New York's 13th District. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I'm hoping, because you will be a member of Congress, that we will have many opportunities to have a conversation, which means the first conversation is going to be a little tough to get through because you've now moved from a hot part of the primary where things are really hot into you're going to be the next member of Congress. And everybody's now looking at you and saying, what is that going to look like? Last night, we were on air when you delivered your speech in which you said, quote, the corporate landlords and lobbies who powered our opponent's campaign knew that he didn't represent us in this district. He didn't fight for us. He represented them and he fought for them, end quote. First of all, have you spoken to...
No, speaking the actual truth? Whoa, you can't do that.
To Adriano Espaillat?
Yes, we spoke last night.
Okay. How'd that go? Because there's a rift in your district at the moment, which often happens after a primary.
Dad, I have the controversial opinion. All right, I'm going to say something. And if you don't like it, it speaks more about you than it does about me. I need every woman on the planet to be more smug. Like, I want her to look so much more smug. All right? Can we talk about how badass her name is? I know. I know. Make women spug. I'm going to find out that that's like a slur. That's like some old slur that means something crazy.
I think it was a brief but, positive conversation where he congratulated me and offered support in this transition. And I think New Yorkers deserve that kind of transition, one where we're working together to deliver for them.
You have to do and say things in primaries, and then now you are the actual Democratic Party representative. That's not always the same as being a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. How do you square that?
I think I'm very proud of the campaign that I've run, one where I am presenting the vision that I have for New Yorkers here in this district. And that has always been the vision that I have for them, right? I've been very frank and honest about what that is. And even when folks disagree with my vision, I am very proud to say I will always be honest about my position on things. And even if we don't agree, I will still fight for every single person in my district because that is what they deserve. They deserve somebody who's going to fight to make sure that they have all of the resources that they need to lead a dignified life as New Yorkers. I
think you probably, and at some point we'll be done with this conversation, but you probably want this conversation to go away. But there are the social media posts. You have had derogatory posts about Joe Biden and about Kamala.
No. Oh my God, she didn't like Joe Biden or Kamala. Oh my gosh, I'm so mad about that. I'm really angry about that. Oh, can I just say, saying Kamala Harris is not derogatory. What? Maybe he's going to show the post. I don't know.
Kamala Harris. You did apologize for the Kamala Harris one. I guess the Joe Biden one, you did say you called him a rapist. Is that the kind of thing that just because you're sort of a digital native and that you do on the internet, or did you believe that and do you believe that?
I think there was a lot of misunderstandings around where my posts, why they were deleted. I deleted my account many years back because I was focused on returning to organizing and my studies. I was working on a PhD program. And I think often we're asked to really have accountability for folks who have not held political office or have political power, and don't do the same for folks who are in positions of political power. Now, all that to say, I do regret my tweets, and that's something that I think has brought a lot of division, and that's something I regret because
I just want everyone to know I respect her for apologizing because it's what she has to do to like at least try and play nice with some of the Democrats. But and really, who amongst us hasn't been caught shit posting? All right. But the fact that she tweeted that. The fact that she tweeted that. Like I said, it's really hard to dislike her, man. Can I just say this entire interview just feels like, is this you? Is this you? Most base thing ever. Is this you saying Kamala Harris? Yeah, I said that. And I really felt really, I felt really bad when I said that the first time. And that's why I deleted it. Because it was bad that I said that the first time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm so apologetic. Yeah.
As an organizer, my goal is always to unify our community and deliver for our community. And I think there is this question of why is it that when folks who do not have power, political power in this instance, are being held accountable for things, we don't also hold accountable folks who do have political power, where the decisions they are making in office every single day have an enormous impact on millions of people in our country, right? And I think for folks who feel...
Dude, literally. Shit posting won't ruin your political career. Correct. Also, her Kamala tweet was about her being her anti-immigration stance, so just being totally based, huh? Yeah. Sounds about right.
Disempowered. It's important to make sure that we're getting to the heart of where that sense of disempowerment is coming
You actually
from.
said that with respect to your tweet about Kamala Harris. You said that it came from a place of you feeling disempowered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think so many folks in our country feel that they don't have representation that is fighting for them, right? And that was part of why I decided to run, because I felt that abandonment from establishment politics that looks at my community as though it is merely statistics and not people who are worth fighting for, and not the policies that will actually better their lives. And too often we've seen folks go into office and close the door behind them, but what we need is representation that's actually going to listen to the community, hear the frustrations, and open that door and keep it propped open so that everyone can be part of their democracy.
So I want to talk to you because you are part of a group of people who want to hold people in power to account. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk to you about that with respect to Adriano Espaillat, money that has come into that campaign, including money from AIPAC-affiliated groups. But I need to set the context on that first because of this conversation about this rally after October 8th. You have strong beliefs about Israel's targeting of civilians in Gaza, which completely dwarfed what...
Can you believe having strong beliefs? Having strong beliefs about genocide. Everyone should have weak opinions about genocide. Like, I don't know. And maybe. And it's still up in the air. You know, some things are gray. Yeah, that's what I want in a candidate. When I want them to speak about genocide, that's what I want them to say. That's exactly what I definitely don't want them to say genocide is wrong and we shouldn't fund a nation doing a genocide. No, I don't want a candidate to say that. I want a candidate to say it's just really complicated. You know, we send them money, we give them weapons of war, and then they kill a bunch of people. You know, it's just a complicated situation. It's a really nuanced situation, man.
What happened on October 7th. That said, I think I'm going to guess that you agree that innocent civilians shouldn't be targeted by anybody, regardless of the reason or the grievance. And that stands for Israel and that stands for Hamas.
Yeah, of course.
Because people have associated you with being supportive of what Hamas did on October 7th.
No, I've always been very clear that at the core of every one of my values is fighting for human dignity and human life. And Sorry,
really quickly with this chatter. When you say fuck someone, it's derogatory. Just admit that you fucked up. Let's try this out. Fuck Chevalier. Does that sound okay? I was just showing how bad it sounds. Like her. She just messed up. You know, you can be mean to shitty people, right? Like, you know that, right? Like, if someone said, fuck Hitler, you wouldn't be like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's just messed up that you would go that far, right? Or someone said, fuck Nazis. You know, you wouldn't be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down. Let's not get too crazy around here. Just admit that you messed up and you were being a little too aggressive. Like, there are some people that use their power, political or monetary, to make the world worse. And you can say, fuck those people. That is your, first of all, freedom of speech. But second, I would argue moral obligation. I would say if you saw Stephen Miller in public, it would be your moral obligation to say, fuck you, Stephen Miller, fuck you. If you see Rick Scott, I think it's your moral obligation to use your freedom of speech and tell them to go fuck themselves. And that they are absolute fucking repulsive pieces of shit. Same thing with, Randy Fine is like the best example of this. Like, you're supposed to be our public servants, and yet here you are doing nothing but destroying this country. Thank you. Love that. Kamala Harris was nothing as bad as that. I understand what you're saying, but it just sounds bad when you're trying to represent a lot of people. Did you consider, before you decided to come to a conclusion about her statement, did you consider why she made that statement? Let me pull it up. Okay, why did she say fuck Kamala Harris? Really quickly, I just want you to recognize the fact that you jumped to conclusions and assumed she didn't have a good reason to and that she should apologize. Just want you to know that for a moment. You didn't immediately ask, what was she saying it in context with? Or like, what was the context of that statement? You assumed that there was no good context and that she shouldn't have said it. That's what you assumed. Beyond that point, let's see. Wait, here it is.
Speaking of those frustrations, one of the things that Espaillat plastered everywhere that I also was a little worried about, I'm not going to lie, was your core retweeted Kamala Harris telling Guatemalan migrants not to come to the United States of America, where she famously said, do not come. I normally have a soundboard. I don't have it here, but that's like one of the things that I play all the time because it's funny. But it wasn't funny at the time when she was saying it. And that was a moment of frustration for you. And as someone who has voted for Democrats, do you feel like you have every right to express your frustration at the Democratic Party? Or should we actually offer unlimited fealty to the Democrats, even if they're actually doing things that they objectively told us they weren't going to do, like Biden, who ran on a first 100 days of immigration strategy that claimed that they were going to actually do amnesty for undocumented immigrants. Very popular policy position.
Yeah,
by the
no,
way.
I think criticism, we should always be engaging in it where it like is valid, right? Especially when they are saying one thing and then their policy is reflecting something else.
Yeah.
And I think, I think people, as you grow, you become more articulate, more nuanced in how you say things. I think for me, when I apologized in the debate to Vice President Harris, and I think part of that has a lot to do.
She watches, so if you want to, if you got some more words for her, you can say.
Well, I think for me, that was rooted in not only the fact that like we could have engaged in a conversation that would have landed better. I mean, I also thinking of the fact I was a 20-something-year-old. I didn't think she was looking at my Twitter account. Never thought.
You think she's seen it? She's got to.
I don't know. I mean, at this point, maybe.
How do you think she feels that someone who said fuck Kamala Harris defeated the long-term incumbent?
Yeah. Dude, I know Democrats are mad. Establishment Dems are fucking pissed. The comment was directed to then Vice President Kamala Harris advising Guatemalan migrants to not come to the United States legally. Now, was Kamala Harris wrong for telling those immigrants to not come here illegally? Yes, correct. Yes. Because she's buying into the narrative that the majority of people that are coming into the United States are coming here illegally and destroying our country. She's literally buying into every single MAGA talking point, which is the reason why right-wingers keep getting into office. It's because the Democrats, the establishment Democrats, just keep saying, no, you guys are right. The immigrants that are coming here are the problem. I'm going to adopt every right-wing framework and work within those instead of rejecting the framework entirely and saying immigrants make this country what it is. This country would be nothing without our immigrants, and we should be making the process easier for immigrants. The reason that they are coming here illegally is because they don't have easy paths to come here legally. Maybe if we made the path to citizenship or made the path to visas or made the path for green cards easier, we would have less people coming in illegally. Also, asylum seekers, those people are not, by the way, and refugees are not illegal immigrants. They would be here legally. But she doesn't do that. She buys into every single right-wing framework and says, yeah, stop coming in here illegally, which convinces right-wingers that they're right about having policy that strengthens our border, which effectively is just attacking every single person that's brown. That sounds weird. No, that's her job. Telling people to obey the law and come here legally. That's literally, what are you talking? That's not the vice president's job. What? The vice president's job is not to tell people to come here. What? That's not the vice president's job. The vice president's job is not to go on stage and say, obey the law. That's not. What? What are you talking about? Maybe her job is like a DA, but maybe you're getting timelines confused. What the hell are you talking about, brother? Her job is to express the policy of the administration. That's what she did. Telling people to not come here is not expressing the policy of the administration. Expressing the policy of the administration would be, hey, we will be implementing policies that make it harder for you to immigrate here legally. So not only would her statement not have been what your job description just was, but it's also, both of those things would be still bad. Oh my God, dude. Do not come. Do not come. Imagine not understanding why Kamala Harris lost. No one wants Diet Coke when Coke Classic is right there. But like literally. If you want Democrats to keep losing, keep doing what you're doing, buddy. If you want Democrats to actually win ever, you need to recognize that buying into the right-wing framework of everything is why Democrats keep losing. That's literally why. This is our last thing. Well, should she say, hey, everyone come here and open the border or what? I already told you what she should say. She should say, it's depressing that we have so many illegal immigrants that have no way to come here legally. We should be improving our immigration standards, and we should be making it easier for people to actually get their papers in this country. That's what I said. Well, I already said that 2 seconds ago. That's what she should be saying. Same shirt. Wait a minute. She's a one-shirt Andy, just like me. We have so much in common, Chevalier. I don't mean to like alarm you, but we're like so similar.
The reason I was there was at that rally. I have been advocating for Palestinian human rights and dignity for most of my adult life. And knowing that historically what we have seen is that whenever there is an incident that happens in the region, there is an outsized reaction, one that costs thousands more people their lives. And that was what I was there to stand against, because it was a pattern that I had seen consistently throughout my organizing and throughout my experience in the region. I was actually in Palestine in 2014 in the West Bank, and I was there at a time where tensions were rising. And I believe it was almost either the day I arrived or the day after I got back to the United States that Israel began bombing Gaza. And over 1,400 or maybe 1,800 folks or people were killed in Palestine and Gaza at that time. And I remember being home and scrolling through the faces and names of the people who had been killed and feeling completely powerless to do anything about it. People who looked so much like the people I had just left in the West Bank. And knowing that day that we were in a situation where something similar or bigger would come to pass, that was what I was there to stand against.
It wasn't as central an issue in your campaign as it was in the Brad Lander, Dan Goldman campaign. But the AIPAC and AIPAC affiliated money that came in against you was bigger. I mean, it was a lot of money. And you've been very critical of Adriana Espaillat's relationship with Israel and continued acceptance of funding inoffensive weapons. Tell me how that played out.
You know, I have from the very beginning been very critical of the fact that he has taken over $670,000 to his directly to his campaigns from AIPAC. He has taken over $115,000 from ICE contractors, over $250,000 from real estate developers that are pricing people out of our city. To me, at the heart of this is the way that money is a form of accountability and to whom that accountability is to. So the fact that he was taking money from these institutions, from these right-wing lobbies, which is what AIPAC is, it's a right-wing lobby that backs Republicans and Donald Trump, and then also then backs...
Betelgeuse, you can't say that during Pride Month. During Pride Month, you're trying to silence lesbian voices. Unbelievable. Another LGBT foe.
Democrats who purport to be progressive while voting time and time again in the interests of institutions like AIPAC. And so I was highly critical of that because I see the impact of that on my community every single day. When you have someone who's taking money from the real estate developers that are pricing us out, and it's no wonder then that in a district that is the second poorest congressional district in the state and by some measures the country, that it is so deeply unaffordable for folks when the rent rises to the average of $4,000 for a 2-bedroom in Harlem or Washington Heights. And so, I think the fact that so much money was poured in, not only directly into his campaign, but also in outside spending, where we saw over $7 million. And we won't know how much of that was AIPAC for a number of days.
A lot of that funding came in after June 10th,
exactly.
Which means nobody has to report it for until the next cycle. Donald Trump talked about communists being elected last night. There were 3 of you in the congressional races, and there were 5 people who Zohran Mamdani supported.
The Trump tweet was so good, dude. Or the Trump Truth Social was so good.
In state races, all 8 of you won. How do you avoid becoming the ad for Republicans? We've watched Zohran Mamdani, and he's managed it very well. We've watched Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has managed it very well. She's become a sort of a very policy-centered person. I don't think she's changed any of her views. How do you navigate this road? Because now you are a member of the Democratic delegation. You will be a member of the Democratic delegation, and you're going to appear in all sorts of people's ads, all sorts of Republicans' ads to say, this is what you're going to get.
It's such a stupid fucking question. Oh, yeah? Well, a bunch of people are going to call you a communist. It's like, dude, they called Nancy Pelosi a communist. They called Kamala Harris a communist. Okay, free promo, girl. Like, what? No, I don't. It's so stupid. Oh my God. Denims, have you tried Oikos? They're so good. Much better than muscle milk. Well, I don't think this is muscle milk. This is like the Fairlife Core Power. And the problem with the Oikos is that I'm a fat fucking chud, so they're not filling at all, so I could eat like 40 of them. Like I could just like straight chug 40 of them, and I feel like I drank water. Honestly, it's somehow less filling than water, so I can't buy them anymore. I was having those, then I was realizing that my calorie intake was fucking insane, and I was like, uh-oh. These aren't filling. Uh-oh.
If you vote for the Democrats, a communist.
I think that...
This is what delegation, and you're going to appear in all sorts of people's ads, all sorts of Republicans' ads to say, this is what you're going to get if you vote for the Democrats, a communist.
I think...
Base alert? Hello? Base department?
That framing is one that I've...
Conjurman, thank you for the 10 gifts up. Is that a promise? Do you pinky promise?
Been very proud to be able to say I don't respond to. One in which I have been very intentional to say I won't be reactive. We are presenting a vision of what we're fighting for. And
Can I just say, it's good to talk about optics, and it's good to focus and dial in on optics. And optics has a place. But if we're talking about the optics of what bad faith agents will do, who gives a shit? Like, Fox News is going to call anyone who is to the right of, Fetterman, a communist. It's a statement that has no meaning. Why would you appeal to Fox News or Fox News viewers? They're going to call you a communist anyways. Shouldn't you just have good policies then? Just have good policies, forehead. And if you have good policies, who cares about everything else? So did I say to the right of? I meant to the left of Fetterman.
I think for far too long, we have had politics that is reactive to what...
This is so funny. Mayor Mamdani pulled through 3 solid communists. He has received loud and universal applause from the fake news media. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. I went 16-0 last night, helping to elect wonderful American patriots, and the media doesn't say a word. Over the last 2 years, my endorsements have netted 259 primary wins, almost no losses, with zero media attention. Okay, first of all, I gotta say, you're the president, brother. She came down in a bubble. Like, yeah, no shit, the president's endorsement is gonna have a little bit more reach than a mayor. Just really fast, okay? You have the national stage, brother. But this is what I mean. Like, he's going to call everyone a communist. Who cares? Like, why would you do that? The communists are finally making their move. I've been waiting and preparing for this for a long time. It's easy to be a communist. All you have to do is say, I'll give you everything. But that means you're taking it away from others that have earned it. Yeah, for sure. Elon Musk definitely earned his $1 billion. Over thousands of years, that ideology has not worked once. He literally said China made communism work. Well, Trump, China, communism worked. Maybe it was socialism. I thought it was communism. Where is it? Someone in here has seen the clip that I'm talking about. Maybe I hallucinated this clip. Maybe this clip doesn't exist. Maybe this clip doesn't exist. Not sure if China's even communist. No, that's not what we're talking. We're not talking about whether or not it is. We're talking about whether or not Trump said that. And Trump did say that. I'll see if I can find it, but let's keep watching. I'll try and pull up the clip while we're watching.
Republicans are doing. What we need is Democrats who are actually going to present a positive vision, one that sets the tone for what we should be talking about, which is the issue of affordability, which is the issue of how our budgets are moral documents.
Here it is. He said it was socialist. Here it is. Trump, China and its socialism system shouldn't work in theory, but it does work. I've never seen socialism shouldn't work on paper, but does work in practice.
I must say I respect China greatly because it's amazing that with a system that in theory shouldn't work, you know, we go to school and we go to the best business schools and we do well in those schools and we read about free entrepreneurship and we read about all of these different things. But you look at China, how well they do, how well they manufacture. I mean, they manufacture cars so many that they actually have a contest for who can manufacture the least cars because they have so many cars. You have to have great respect for China for the job they do. Like them or not like them, you have to respect them.
You know, I never thought I would live long enough to see people switch from communism and socialism work in theory, but not in practice, to they shouldn't work in theory, but then they do work in practice. Oh, God, dude. America works because we have a good mix of capitalism and socialism. Okay, guys. For people who haven't been here for a very long time, I need to tell you guys something, all right? I have a secret third rule, which is if you're a funny chatter, you're allowed to be here for free. But if you're annoying, you have to sub. You have to sub. All right? That's the rule. Okay? I'm sorry, it's the truth. If you're funny, if you lurk, if you know how to have a good time, by all means, enjoy yourself for free. However, if you're as annoying as this chatter, you have to sub or I ban you. Capitalism is where we get money to make our socialized systems work. Okay, and I'm going to do a capitalism to make the socialism work right now. You have to sub right now, chatter, or I have to ban you. Okay, that's capitalism. That's socialism through capitalism. But actually, if you don't sub in the next 5 minutes, no one is allowed to gift a sub, all right? If you don't sub in like a minute or two, I'll give you 5 minutes. I will ban you. Okay, I'm sorry. It's tough. I just want you to I want to show you how your system, socialism through capitalism, does in fact work. All right? All right. And just because I'm taking off the screen, don't think you get to sneak some more messages in. If you send another message, you will be banned. All right? All right. Continuing. Let's finish this video.
If we say that we want to invest in working people in this country, then we need to do that, and our budgets need to reflect that. If we say that we value immigration and immigration justice, we need to make sure that that is also reflective in our policy. And so I'm very proud of a campaign that we built that centers those ideals, that centers those values and that vision for what we need as a community. And that's how I'll continue to move forward in Congress. And I think that for far too long, this reactive conversation of what we should be afraid of has prevented us from being able to have a politics of hope and a politics of life that Democrats can actually identify with. When the majority of the Democratic base has been seeking for the Democratic Party to actually fight for them, that should be the language that we should be leading with.
Thank you for joining us.
Isn't it also crazy that, like, the Democrats finally have candidates that are liked by the voters, and the Democrats are like, no, not like that, though. Yeah, no, not like that. No. No. So you threaten me because you disagree and can't stand to hear my opinion? You clearly haven't run into the people in here who are right and annoying. You ever talk to a vegan? Have you ever spoken to a vegan? Because some of them are very correct, and it makes them more annoying. Being annoying is not a matter of right or wrong. It's just a matter of being annoying. It's pretty simple. I don't care that I disagree with you. You're annoying when you're doing it. What the hell, girl? Why pick on us right now? No, it's very simple. If you make everybody else suffer, you pay a tax. Think of it like a tariff, all right? It's the annoying tariff. Yeah, this is like a core memory for me, Betelgeuse. Ad hominem. Dude, I straight up don't like or respect you as a person. Dude, I love that tweet, man. Oh my God. But seriously, since somebody else gifted you a sub, even though I said not to, you have to gift somebody else a sub. I'll give you, it's 9:57. I'll give you till 10 a.m. All right? You got it. You got 10 a.m. All right? Okay, go for it. And then once the bell strikes 10, or if you send a lot more annoying messages, but ooh, tough luck. It's 10 a.m., buddy. Sending you off, man. Goodbye, little buddy. Too annoying to continue chatting. Saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. Smallest violin. Oh, Anna, I'm thinking of the gift set to the majority report. What the heck? Thanks. Well, if you want to get unbanned, just gift some subs. Easy. Easy life hack, easy strat. But that offer is only valid today. There's a one-time coupon voucher. Never been offered before. $6 too rich for a capitalist, bro. True, man. Bro said socialism through capitalism, but didn't want to live through his beliefs, man. What the heck? Isn't that fucked up, chat?